Above the endless Lin Hai, the spirit warrior stood suspended in midair. His powerful spiritual energy surged around him like a storm, and on his arms, the battle runes flashed with a brilliant light. At that moment, he resembled an undefeated war god, exuding an overwhelming presence. The spirit warrior cast a cold glance at the black tortoise battle spirit, which had been sent flying by his palm, and the rapidly collapsing spirit array around Mu Chen. A faint smirk appeared on his face as he said, "If this is all you have, I must say, I am deeply disappointed." Mu Chen's expression remained unchanged, though there was a hint of solemnity in his eyes. Indeed, the spirit warrior was the strongest Upper Earth Supreme he had ever encountered. Based on his estimation, the spirit warrior was now at the pinnacle of the Upper Earth Supreme, not far from reaching the perfect Earth Supreme. Truly impressive, the direct disciple of the Western Heaven Battle Emperor. Mu Chen muttered to himself. He then raised his head, and in his black eyes, there was no trace of fear. Instead, he smiled at the spirit warrior and said, "If you're curious, why not come and try for yourself? I don't think you'll be disappointed." The spirit warrior was certainly extraordinary, but Mu Chen was not someone to be underestimated. The outcome of this battle, who would win and who would lose, was still uncertain. Is that so? I certainly hope so. Otherwise, this will be quite boring. Boom. The moment the spirit warrior's voice fell, his figure shattered into numerous afterimages and shot toward Mu Chen. The spirit warrior nodded slightly, and the next moment, he appeared directly in front of Mu Chen, throwing a punch. On his arm, countless battle runes erupted in a dazzling light. The force of the punch shattered the surrounding space, sending countless fragments flying. The shadow of the spirit warrior's punch rapidly enlarged in Mu Chen's pupils. However, despite facing such a fierce blow, Mu Chen did not choose to retreat. He too wanted to test just how powerful the spiritual energy of an Upper Earth Supreme at the peak level truly was. Within the depths of his eyes, the crystal pagoda of transcendence appeared. The immense spiritual energy within him was fully transformed into crystal spiritual energy. In the next moment, Mu Chen clenched his fist, launching a punch. On his fist, the light of crystal erupted, and his spiritual energy surged forth, condensing into a crystalline fist-shaped gauntlet. Boom. The two fists collided with immense force, and in an instant, visible ripples of energy swept through the area. The trees in the Lin Hai below, within a radius of thousands of feet, were completely obliterated, leaving nothing but a rain of shattered tree fragments. As tree debris flew through the air, Mu Chen's body shook violently before being sent flying backward. His feet scraped across the ground, leaving a deep gouge of thousands of feet. Once he regained his balance, Mu Chen's face flushed red briefly before it calmed down. He clenched his pained hand into a fist, his eyes burning with intense battle intent as he stared at the spirit warrior. Such powerful spiritual energy. Is this the level of an Upper Earth Supreme at the peak? The spirit warrior also took several steps back, but compared to Mu Chen, he appeared far more composed. However, there was a slight darkening of his expression. Although Mu Chen had been sent flying for thousands of feet by his punch, he was not injured. Looking down at his fist, Mu Chen noticed a faint shimmer of crystal light on its surface. This was his own spiritual energy. When their fists had collided earlier, just as the spirit warrior's spiritual energy had attempted to crush him, Mu Chen's crystal spiritual energy had silently seeped into the spirit warrior's arm. What puzzled the spirit warrior was that wherever the crystal spiritual energy passed, even his battle spirit energy had rapidly quieted down, nearly falling out of his control. Fortunately, he quickly mobilized his spiritual energy and forcibly suppressed the crystal spiritual energy. But because of this, the power of his punch had been diminished. Thus, the deadly punch he had intended to use to crush Mu Chen had only managed to send him flying. This guy's spiritual energy is truly bizarre. It even interferes with my battle spirit energy. The spirit warrior furrowed his brow. His battle spirit energy was already unique and far superior in quality to regular spiritual energy, yet it had been eroded by Mu Chen's energy. Could it be that the quality of Mu Chen's crystal spiritual energy was even superior to his own battle spirit energy? You certainly have some ability. But with just this, I doubt it will change your fate. The spirit warrior's eyes were icy cold as he locked onto Mu Chen. While Mu Chen's crystal spiritual energy was strange and unusual, no matter what, he was still only a lower Earth Supreme. Interesting. I want to see how many times your spiritual energy can save you. The spirit warrior spoke indifferently, then took a deep breath. More and more battle runes began to appear on his arm, and at the same time, a dangerous aura emanated from his body. Sensing that aura, Mu Chen's expression slightly tightened. It seemed that the spirit warrior was finally getting serious. Whoosh! The spirit warrior hovered in midair. As more and more battle runes appeared on his arms, the world seemed to be filled with the howling of a violent wind. Just as his momentum peaked, his eyes emitted a burst of light. His palm slowly lifted, and with that movement, his hand began to visibly expand at a rapid speed. In just a few breaths, it became a giant hand that could cover the sky and block the sun. Countless battle runes were engraved on the giant hand, and the overwhelming battle will condensed into it. At that moment, the giant hand was like the hand of a war god descending from the heavens. The spiritual energy in the entire world began to boil. Major divine ability, million heaven-grasping hand. The spirit warrior coldly stared at Mu Chen, then suddenly slammed the giant hand down. The chilling voice, carrying a murderous intent, echoed through the heavens and earth. At that moment, as the spirit warrior's giant hand descended, the surrounding white jade plaza erupted in a chorus of astonished voices. It's actually a major divine ability? The spirit warrior is ruthless. He's really going all out to kill him. Mu Chen's in danger now. Countless powerful figures looked on with astonishment, their scalps tingling at the sight of the spirit warrior's assault. Even some Upper Earth Supremes were intimidated by such an attack. On a rooftop around the White Jade Plaza, Willow Star also looked up at the light curtain. When he saw the giant hand, a deep sense of wariness flashed in his eyes. Earlier, when he fought the spirit warrior, he had suffered considerable losses under this move. Within the giant hand of the spirit warrior seemed to be infused with 1,000,000 battle runes, combined with his own spiritual energy, making it overwhelmingly fierce and violent. Even an Upper Earth Supreme, if careless, would probably perish under this strike. Willow Star gazed at the tiny figure beneath the giant hand, murmuring to himself, "Mu Chen, can you block it?" As countless eyes watched in shock, Mu Chen also fixed his gaze on the giant hand that blotted out the sky. He hadn't expected that the spirit warrior would use a major divine ability, truly worthy of being the disciple of the War Emperor. His background is indeed impressive, Mu Chen couldn't help but exclaim. In the sky, the spirit warrior's face remained indifferent, his eyes cold as he condensed his battle intent. When the giant hand fully took shape, he said nothing and simply let it fall from the heavens, mercilessly striking the spot where Mu Chen stood. Boom. When the giant hand fell, the ground directly collapsed beneath it. The immense shadow descended, and Mu Chen looked up, gazing at the giant hand that was covering the entire sky. He exhaled deeply, then swiftly formed hand seals. Buzz! A mighty wave of spiritual energy erupted from his body, and in the next moment, a huge light shadow appeared behind him. The light solidified, and in the end, it materialized into a colossal golden figure standing behind Mu Chen. The golden figure radiated purple gold light, exuding a mysterious and awe-inspiring presence. Clearly, in response to the spirit warrior's overwhelming assault, Mu Chen had not been idle. He summoned his immortal golden body. Whoosh! As soon as the immortal golden body appeared, spiritual energy flowed like a river. The purple gold giant hand rose, bursting with dazzling golden light, and the purple gold glow quickly coalesced into 12 massive and mysterious light patterns. Mu Chen changed his hand seals, and the 12 light patterns soared like dragons, rapidly gathering together until they transformed into a massive purple gold umbrella. Immortal divine runes, ever-changing. Purple gold umbrella. Mu Chen swung his robe, and the purple gold giant umbrella shot up, directly clashing with the descending giant hand in an epic collision. Boom. At the moment of collision, it was as if the heavens and earth themselves resounded with a thunderous roar. Under the immense pressure of that gigantic hand, the purple gold giant umbrella immediately caved into its extreme curvature, as if it was about to shatter. However, just when everyone thought that the purple gold giant umbrella could not endure, a series of purple gold light patterns appeared on its surface. Mysterious purple gold light surged, sweeping across the sky. Boom. The caved-in purple gold giant umbrella, at this moment, like a spring compressed to its limit, suddenly bounced back with a tremendous force. As the umbrella's surface rebounded, an indescribable terrifying force poured down onto the gigantic hand. Boom, boom, boom. In just a few moments, the giant hand was sent flying backward, rapidly shrinking until it became a normal hand of the spirit warrior. The spirit warrior's expression turned dark. His hand was trembling, with traces of blood appearing, indicating that during the previous collision, his hand had sustained some injuries due to the recoil. Interesting. The spirit warrior's gaze, sharp as a blade, locked onto the massive immortal golden body beneath Mu Chen's feet. This was clearly the supreme dharmakaya that Chen had cultivated. Moreover, this mysterious dharmakaya, which the spirit warrior had never seen before, was undoubtedly no simple matter. Chen stood on the shoulder of the immortal golden body, his pitch-black eyes staring at the spirit warrior. He slowly spoke, "Bring out your supreme dharmakaya. Otherwise, you might find it difficult to deal with me." Hearing Chen's words, the spirit warrior did not mock him this time. After the previous hard clash, he already understood that with the power of this supreme dharmakaya, he could not deal with Chen. To confront the supreme dharmakaya, he would need to use his own supreme dharmakaya. The spirit warrior fixed his gaze on Chen, his voice cold, "To force me to use my supreme dharmakaya, Chen. Even if you lose today, you can still be proud of yourself." Boom. As his voice fell, an endless brilliance erupted from behind the spirit warrior. Faintly, it seemed as though there were the sounds of a battle filling the heavens and earth. A gigantic figure slowly took form behind the spirit warrior, and at the same time, a terrifying and inexplicable sense of pressure gradually gathered in the air. The oppressive force spread, and the spirit warrior's deep voice echoed in the sky. "Appear. Ancient War Emperor Dharmakaya." Boom. When the spirit warrior's low voice reverberated through the heavens and earth, monstrous spiritual energy gathered behind him. Vaguely, there were countless roars and growls, and a colossal figure slowly took shape. In just a few breaths, the gigantic figure became fully clear and visible to all, causing numerous stunned gazes to turn toward it. The figure, towering at 10,000 feet, had 3 spheres of light floating behind its head, constantly rotating. A terrifying oppressive force, like a storm, erupted in waves from within this colossal figure, warping the very space around it. The moment this supreme dharmakaya appeared, it immediately caused an uproar in Western Heaven War City. The gazes that followed were filled with awe and longing. This was because they all knew the astonishing origin of the supreme dharmakaya cultivated by the spirit warrior. The Ancient War Emperor Dharmakaya ranked 24th on the Supreme Dharmakaya ranking of the 99 orders. Legend has it that in ancient times, there was a peak powerhouse named the War Emperor, who independently created the battle spirit power, blending battle will with spiritual energy. His combat power was extraordinary. With this, even in the ancient era, when strong warriors were numerous, the Ancient War Emperor's strength was among the top tier in the Great Thousand Worlds. After the fall of the Ancient War Emperor and the loss of his inheritance, it was only by chance that the current Western Battle Emperor obtained it. Using the inheritance, he grew rapidly and eventually reached the Heavenly Supreme Realm. The Ancient War Emperor Dharmakaya was one of the War Emperor's legacies. However, its cultivation conditions were extremely harsh. Of the 4 holy sons of the Western Heaven Battle Hall, only the Spirit Warrior had successfully cultivated it, and its power could only be described as terrifying. After all, a Dharmakaya ranked 24th was not something just any faction could possess. What is Chen's Supreme Dharmakaya? Why have I never seen it before? Chen's Supreme Dharmakaya is only a few hundred feet tall. What kind of spiritual energy can such a body even contain and control? When you compare these two, it's truly the difference between a giant and a dwarf. I fear that once they strike, Chen's Supreme Dharmakaya will be immediately shattered. When whispers filled the heavens and earth, the Western Battle Emperor stood atop the towering staircase, his eyes narrowing as he fixed his gaze on the luminous screen. However, he was not focused on Spirit Warrior's War Emperor avatar, but rather on Chen's comparatively smaller, only several hundred feet tall, purple gold law body. Others might not perceive anything unusual, but with his heavenly supreme senses, the Western Battle Emperor could detect the terrifying power hidden within that seemingly modest frame. This Chen's Supreme Dharmakaya seems rather extraordinary, the Western Battle Emperor murmured. Though his vast experience allowed him to recognize some familiarity in Chen's immortal golden body, he could not immediately recall its origins. Even if he couldn't determine its lineage for the moment, he was certain that this mysterious law body of Chen's was not inferior to the Ancient War Emperor law body. This Chen, his fortune is truly remarkable, to have cultivated such a Dharmakaya. No wonder the Flame Emperor holds him in high regard. The Western Battle Emperor turned toward the Flame Emperor and chuckled. Still, even with this supreme Dharmakaya, he may be able to contend with Spirit Warrior, but victory will not come easily. Chen certainly possessed remarkable techniques, but his current rank imposed a clear limitation. He was merely a lower Earth Supreme. Defying the odds to challenge an opponent of a higher level was already difficult enough, let alone against Spirit Warrior, a paragon among Upper Earth Supremes. If Mu Chen were also an Upper Earth Supreme at this moment, then the Western Battle Emperor might have admitted that his chances of victory were higher than Spirit Warriors. But unfortunately, the world did not deal in hypotheticals. The Flame Emperor, however, said nothing in response, merely smiling faintly. That smile sent a ripple of unease through the Western Battle Emperor. Every time the Flame Emperor displayed that expression, it was soon followed by Mu Chen unveiling a hidden trump card that shook everyone. Could this brat still have an even stronger hidden card? A trace of uncertainty flickered in the Western Battle Emperor's gaze as he stared at Mu Chen's figure within the luminous screen, his brows slowly furrowing. The ancient War Emperor Law body, huh? Standing atop his immortal golden body, Mu Chen watched the colossal figure that had appeared in his sight. His eyes flickered slightly. Clearly, he hadn't expected Spirit Warrior to have cultivated such a high-tier supreme dharmakaya. No wonder this guy regarded most Upper Earth Supremes as nothing more than mere obstacles. With a dharmakaya of this caliber, ordinary Upper Earth Supremes would stand no chance against him. In this Upper Earth Supreme battlefield, only Willowstar has forced me to reveal my supreme dharmakaya. But for that, he paid the price of severe injury. I wonder what price you'll have to pay this time. Spirit Warrior hovered above the War Emperor Avatar's head, looking down upon Mu Chen with a detached gaze. Buzz. The moment his voice fell, the War Emperor Avatar erupted with radiant brilliance, illuminating the sky. Within the vast expanse of light, countless battle spears materialized, each appearing as tangible as steel. These weapons bore intricate battle runes, radiating an overwhelming aura of battle will. Each battle spear possessed the power to pierce and obliterate a lower Earth Supreme. With such a massive number gathered, even an Upper Earth Supreme would struggle to escape unscathed. The spectacle was truly awe-inspiring. Supreme Divine Ability, Battle Spear Spirit Rain. Swish. Swish. With a mere flick of Spirit Warrior's fingers, the countless battle spears shot forth like a torrential downpour, forming a black storm as they rained down upon Mu Chen and his immortal golden body. The piercing sonic booms echoed incessantly across the sky. Mu Chen's gaze sharpened as he watched the overwhelming shadow of impending devastation descend upon him. He swiftly formed seals with his hands, and beneath him, the immortal golden body erupted with a mysterious purple-gold radiance. Eternal light. The shimmering purple-gold light rippled outward, enveloping the immortal golden body and Mu Chen like an indestructible shell. The immortal golden body was the evolved form of the great sun indestructible body, its defensive capabilities far surpassing those of its predecessor. Now, fortified by the eternal light, it possessed an impenetrable defense akin to an unbreakable fortress. Clang, clang, clang. As the purple-gold radiance spread, the endless rain of battle spears struck the barrier. However, instead of penetrating through, their momentum faltered, as though they had sunk into a mire. Gradually, their speed diminished until, mere meters from the immortal golden body, they froze completely in place. At this moment, from a distance, the immortal golden body appeared to be enveloped by countless battle spears, resembling a porcupine. Get lost. Mu Chen's eyes flickered with purple-gold radiance as he suddenly stomped the ground. The immortal golden body let out a thunderous roar, sending shockwave-like sound waves sweeping across the battlefield. Boom. Boom. The overwhelming storm of battle spears suddenly reversed course, shooting back toward the Spirit Warrior. Humph. Seeing this, the Spirit Warrior formed a seal with one hand. Instantly, the countless battle spears dissolved into countless battle-intent sparks, swirling around him. Boom. Beneath his feet, the ancient War Emperor Avatar took a step forward. Its massive body shot forward like a cannonball, and with a colossal fist carrying a torrential surge of spiritual energy, it aimed a devastating blow at the immortal golden body. Bang! The ground beneath the immortal golden body crumbled. Yet, even as the Spirit Warrior drove the War Emperor Avatar toward him, Mu Chen did not retreat. Instead, he controlled the immortal golden body and met the attack head-on. Boom! 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 Two colossal figures clashed fiercely amidst the vast forest. Each swing of their massive fists carried apocalyptic force, shattering space, collapsing the earth, and carving cracks tens of thousands of feet long into the landscape, abysses stretching across the battlefield. Around the plaza, countless eyes were glued to the scene in sheer disbelief, especially when they saw Mu Chen's relatively smaller immortal golden body standing its ground, clashing directly against the War Emperor Avatar's destructive assaults time and again. Their eyes nearly bulged out of their sockets. That was the War Emperor Avatar, a power so overwhelming that even an Upper Earth Supreme would be unable to withstand a single punch. Yet now, it was completely incapable of overwhelming Mu Chen's mysterious avatar? They had assumed that once the spirit warrior summoned the War Emperor avatar, the battle would become one-sided. But the reality before them forced them to recognize the truth. Mu Chen's enigmatic avatar was not weaker than the War Emperor avatar. If anything, it was even stronger. Rumble. The earth-shattering battle raged across the boundless forest. Wherever the two towering figures passed, mountains crumbled to dust, and the ground collapsed entirely. Boom. Once again, the immortal golden body and the War Emperor avatar collided with ferocious intensity. The resulting shockwaves spread for tens of thousands of feet, causing the surrounding space to continuously shatter, sending shards of space flying in all directions. Both colossal figures were sent hurtling backward, their enormous bodies smashing through mountain peaks one after another. Standing on the War Emperor avatar's shoulder, the spirit warrior's face had darkened completely. He had never imagined that Mu Chen would be able to fight him to such a standstill. That mysterious supreme Dharma form was proving to be far more troublesome than expected. What supreme body has this guy cultivated? How is its power on par with my War Emperor avatar? A flash of unwillingness crossed the spirit warrior's somber face. Relying on the War Emperor avatar, he had dominated opponents of the same level for years. Yet today, against Mu Chen, he had achieved nothing. This guy is too strange. The longer this drags on, the worse it'll get. I need to end this quickly. A dangerous gleam flickered in the spirit warrior's eyes. By now, he no longer dared to take Mu Chen lightly. Facing Mu Chen at this moment, the spirit warrior knew that if he wanted victory, he could no longer hold back. With that thought, he hesitated no longer. Taking a deep breath, his eyes flashed with ruthless determination. Then, his foot slammed down as his hand seals rapidly transformed. As the seal shifted, the three massive light spheres floating behind the War Emperor avatar's head suddenly erupted with dazzling radiance. Within the glow, Mu Chen's pupils contracted sharply. Inside those light spheres, he saw countless figures radiating boundless battle intent. His heart clenched. Within those spheres lay elite armies imbued with monstrous battle will. Chapter 1250, Immortal Golden Body vs. War Emperor Avatar. Rumble. As the spirit warrior's deep voice echoed across the heavens, an overwhelming tide of spiritual energy surged behind him. Within its depths, the faint echoes of countless roars and shouts rang out, as an enormous figure slowly began to take shape. In just a few breaths, the massive figure fully materialized, revealing itself before countless gazes, immediately sending shockwaves through the spectators. The figure stood at an astonishing height, towering over 10,000 zhang. Behind the massive silhouette, three luminous orbs floated, continuously rotating. An indescribable sense of terrifying pressure emanated, like a storm, with waves of force bursting from within the giant figure, distorting the very space around it. As soon as the supreme dharmakaya appeared, it immediately caused a massive uproar in Western Heaven War City, with countless exclamations of shock. In their eyes, there was a mix of awe and desire. Because they all knew the origin of the supreme dharmakaya cultivated by the spirit warrior was incredibly remarkable. It was the ancient War Emperor's dharmakaya, ranked 24th on the supreme dharmakaya ranking of the 99 supreme bodies. Legend has it that during ancient times, there was a peak powerhouse named the War Emperor, who created his own battle spirit power, fusing battle intent with spiritual energy, resulting in a terrifying combat strength. Thanks to this, even in the era when many strong individuals existed, the ancient War Emperor's power was ranked among the top in the Great Thousand Worlds. However, after the ancient War Emperor's fall, his legacy was lost, until it was unexpectedly acquired by the current Western Battle Emperor. Using this inheritance, he rapidly grew in power, eventually reaching the heavenly supreme realm. This ancient War Emperor dharmakaya was a relic left by the ancient War Emperor. However, its cultivation requirements were extremely harsh, and among the four holy sons of the Western Heaven Battle Hall, only the spirit warrior succeeded in mastering it. Its power could only be described as terrifying. After all, a supreme dharmakaya ranked 24th was not something any power could possess. Where did Mu Chen's supreme dharmakaya come from? Why have we never seen it before? Mu Chen's supreme dharmakaya is only a few hundred zhang tall. With such a body, how much spiritual energy can it contain and manipulate? When comparing the two, it's really like a giant versus a dwarf. I fear that with just one move, Mu Chen's supreme dharmakaya will be shattered. As countless whispers filled the air, on the 10,000 zhang stairs, the Western Battle Emperor squinted his eyes, staring at the light screen. His gaze wasn't fixed on the spirit warrior's War Emperor dharmakaya, but on Mu Chen's supreme dharmakaya, which was only a few hundred zhang in size. Others might not feel anything unusual, but with the sensitivity of the heavenly supreme, the Western Battle Emperor could sense the terrifying power hidden within that relatively small body. This Mu Chen's supreme dharmakaya seems to be quite extraordinary, the Western Battle Emperor muttered slowly. Despite his extensive experience, he found the immortal golden body of Mu Chen vaguely familiar, but couldn't quite recall its origins. Though he couldn't discern its full history, the Western Battle Emperor knew that Mu Chen's mysterious dharmakaya was not inferior to the ancient War Emperor's dharmakaya. This Mu Chen truly has extraordinary fortune to cultivate such a dharmakaya. No wonder the Flame Emperor values him so highly. The Western Battle Emperor glanced at the Flame Emperor, smiling faintly. However, with this supreme dharmakaya, he might indeed be able to fight Spirit Warrior evenly, but winning will still be difficult. Mu Chen's methods were impressive, but his own level posed a significant limitation. At present, he was only a lower Earth Supreme, and challenging someone of a higher rank was already difficult. Not to mention, facing a top-tier Upper Earth Supreme like the Spirit Warrior was a monumental challenge. If Mu Chen were also an Upper Earth Supreme, the Western Battle Emperor might have had to admit that his chances of winning would be higher than the Spirit Warrior's. But alas, there's no such thing as what-ifs in this world. The Flame Emperor, however, said nothing in response to the Western Battle Emperor's words, offering only a slight, non-committal smile. Seeing that smile from the Flame Emperor, the Western Battle Emperor couldn't shake a sense of unease. He had learned that whenever the Flame Emperor wore such a smile, it usually meant that Mu Chen was about to reveal a shocking trump card. Could this boy still be hiding an even stronger card? The Western Battle Emperor's eyes grew uncertain as he looked at Mu Chen's figure on the light screen, his brows furrowing slightly. Ancient War Emperor's dharmakaya, huh? Standing atop his immortal golden body, Mu Chen gazed at the enormous figure that appeared in his vision. His eyes flickered with a hint of surprise. He hadn't expected the Spirit Warrior to cultivate such a high-level supreme dharmakaya. No wonder this guy treated most Upper Earth Supremes like they were nothing. With such a dharmakaya, even ordinary Upper Earth Supremes would probably stand no chance against him. In this Upper Earth Supreme battlefield, only Willow Star was able to force me out of my supreme dharmakaya, but he paid the price with severe injuries. I wonder, what price will you pay this time? The Spirit Warrior appeared above the War Emperor avatar, gazing down at Mu Chen, his voice cold and indifferent. Boom. As his voice fell, the War Emperor avatar suddenly erupted with millions of rays of light, which condensed directly in the sky. Among these countless beams of light, numerous battle spears appeared, as solid as physical objects. These spears were engraved with battle runes, radiating overwhelming battle intent. Each of these battle spears was capable of tearing through and piercing a lower Earth Supreme. With such a quantity, even an Upper Earth Supreme would likely struggle to escape unscathed. This display was truly spectacular. Supreme Divine Ability, Battle Spear Spirit Rain. Whoosh. Whoosh. The Spirit Warrior snapped his fingers, and the millions of battle spears shot out like a torrential downpour, roaring through the air like a massive dark cloud, enveloping Mu Chen and the immortal golden body, with the sound of sonic booms echoing throughout the sky. Mu Chen looked at the shadow descending upon him like a downpour. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he quickly formed seals with his hands. At the same time, the immortal golden body beneath him erupted with mysterious purple-gold radiance. Immortal light. The purple-gold light rippled around him, forming a layer that resembled a purple-gold eggshell, protecting both the immortal golden body and Mu Chen within it. The immortal golden body was the evolved form of the great sun indestructible body, with defensive capabilities far surpassing the latter. When combined with the protection of the immortal light, the immortal golden body possessed an almost impenetrable defense. Cling. Cling. As the purple gold light spread, the countless battle spears came crashing down. When they struck the light, it was as though they had fallen into a swamp, their speed rapidly slowing. Eventually, they froze just a few meters away from the immortal golden body. From a distance, the immortal golden body appeared to be surrounded by a mass of battle spears, resembling a hedgehog. Get lost. Mu Chen's eyes flashed as the purple gold light surged. He stomped his foot heavily, and the immortal golden body let out a long, resounding roar. The physical sound waves, like a storm, swept outward. Bang! Bang! The battle spears that covered the sky were forcefully blasted back, shooting toward the Spirit Warrior. Humph! Seeing this, the Spirit Warrior formed a hand seal. The countless battle spears melted and transformed into countless sparks of battle intent, swirling around him. Boom. The ancient war emperor avatar beneath his feet stomped hard, and the massive body shot forward. A giant fist, carrying a torrent of spiritual energy, charged directly at the immortal golden body with overwhelming power. Boom. The ground beneath the immortal golden body collapsed, and facing the force of the war emperor avatar, Chen did not retreat. Instead, he pushed the immortal golden body forward to meet it head-on. Boom. 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 The two colossal figures clashed in the Lin Hai, each massive punch carrying immense power, tearing apart the space and causing the earth to cave in. Giant cracks, tens of thousands of meters long, stretched out from the land like deep abysses. Around the plaza, countless onlookers watched in awe as the two giant figures engaged in battle. Especially when they saw Chen's small immortal golden body repeatedly withstanding the destructive attacks of the War Emperor Avatar, their eyes almost popped out in disbelief. That was the War Emperor Avatar. The sheer vastness of its power was enough to obliterate even an Upper Earth Supreme with a single punch. Yet now, it couldn't even touch Chen's mysterious avatar? They had originally thought that the situation would tilt in the Spirit Warrior's favor once the War Emperor Avatar was summoned, but the reality before them made them realize. Chen's mysterious avatar was clearly as strong, if not stronger, than the War Emperor Avatar. Rumble. The earth-shattering battle raged on through the endless Lin Hai. Wherever the two colossal figures went, mountains were flattened, and the ground collapsed beneath them. Boom. Once again, the immortal golden body collided fiercely with the War Emperor Avatar. Waves of power extending for tens of thousands of meters spread out, as space shattered and countless fragments of space flew off in all directions. At that moment, two massive shadows shot out in opposite directions, their colossal bodies crushing mountain after mountain beneath their feet. Standing on the shoulder of the War Emperor Avatar, the Spirit Warrior's face had darkened completely. He never imagined that Chen would be able to battle him to this extent. The mysterious Supreme Avatar was unexpectedly difficult to deal with. What kind of Supreme Avatar is this guy cultivating? How is it that its power is on par with my War Emperor Avatar? A flash of unwillingness crossed the Spirit Warrior's shadowed face. Over the years, relying on the War Emperor Avatar, he had nearly swept through opponents of his level. Yet today, in front of Chen, he had made no progress at all. This guy is really strange. The longer this drags on, the more troublesome it becomes. It's better to end this quickly. The Spirit Warrior's eyes flickered, and after this long battle, his attitude towards Chen had become more serious. The contempt from earlier had vanished. Facing Chen now, the Spirit Warrior knew that if they were to decide the victor, he could no longer hold back. With this thought, the Spirit Warrior no longer hesitated. He took a deep breath, a fierce glint flashing in his eyes. Then, with a heavy stomp, he changed his seal. As the seal changed, the three massive spheres of light floating behind the War Emperor Avatar's head suddenly burst into blinding radiance. Amid the light, Chen seemed to see countless figures filled with battle intent within the spheres. His pupils constricted sharply. Within those light spheres, there were elite armies with terrifying battle intent. Boom. Two giant fingers, resembling divine beings, tore through the sky and collided with a tremendous impact. The moment they clashed, it felt as if the world had frozen. The spiritual energy in the air seemed to scatter in all directions, as if afraid of being erased by the destructive shockwave. Boom boom. The world's freeze lasted only a moment, but it felt as though an eternity had passed. Then, a blinding light poured down, covering every corner of the world. The brilliance was so dazzling that even the powerful beings surrounding the white jade plaza had to squint, their eyes stinging from the intensity. Boom rumble. After the light flooded the area, a visible spiritual energy storm erupted from the point of impact, rampaging through the land. As the storm passed, the earth was violently torn apart. The endless Lin Hai was completely destroyed, every trace of life reduced to dust by the shockwave. Around the white jade plaza, countless experts watched in horror at the devastating power, their scalps tingling. This shock was so overwhelming that even an Upper Earth Supreme caught in it would probably die with resentment. What? These two are too monstrous, right? An Upper Earth Supreme fighting against a Lower Earth Supreme, and it's already this terrifying? An Upper Earth Supreme looked bitterly at the scene. This level of battle had far exceeded their imagination, and it was a heavy blow to their confidence. A freak. More people murmured in awe. But who will come out on top in this collision? 9 out of 10 times, it's the Spirit Warrior. The War Emperor Avatar is too powerful, and he's also got the battle intent of 1,000,000 soldiers backing him up. While Mu Chen's avatar is mysterious, he's still just a lower Earth Supreme. He probably can't compete with the Spirit Warrior. Who knows that Mu Chen is even more of a freak than the Spirit Warrior. If he had the strength of an upper Earth Supreme right now, I bet even the Spirit Warrior wouldn't stand a chance. A number of experts nodded in agreement with this statement. After all, Mu Chen's combat ability was terrifying. He was only a lower Earth Supreme, yet he had already pushed the Spirit Warrior to this point. If he ever stepped into the realm of an upper Earth Supreme, how horrifying would that be? At that point, could he possibly even rival a perfect Earth Supreme? The thought sent a chill down many of their spines, and they quickly shook their heads. While the gap between an upper Earth Supreme and a perfect Earth Supreme might seem slight, the difference was far more significant than it appeared. This was evident from the numbers in the battlefields of the continental airs. The lower Earth Supreme battlefield had hundreds of fighters, the upper Earth Supreme battlefield nearly 200, while the perfect Earth Supreme battlefield had fewer than 10. It is clear that the perfect Earth Supreme is incredibly terrifying. At that level, as long as one does not provoke the Heavenly Supreme, they are almost invincible within the Great Thousand Worlds. Therefore, most of the powerful figures present in the scene shook their heads in denial at the possibility of Mu Chen being able to rival the perfect Earth Supreme once he reaches the upper Earth Supreme level. Meanwhile, as the various powerful figures thoughts scattered in confusion on the thousands of steps leading up, the Western Battle Emperor and the Flame Emperor were also staring at the light curtain filled with destruction and shockwaves. This Mu Chen indeed has some impressive skills. His Supreme Dharmakaya could easily rank in the top 15 of the Supreme Body ranking in the Great Thousand Worlds. No wonder he could push the Spirit Warrior to such a point, the Western Battle Emperor slowly said. By this point, he had fully recognized the power of the Immortal Golden Body and began acknowledging Mu Chen's strength. From the perspective of the Supreme Dharmakaya, the Ancient War Emperor Dharmakaya doesn't quite compare. The Flame Emperor smiled and said, "So, War Emperor, who do you think will win?" The Western Battle Emperor pondered for a moment before replying, "In this head-to-head battle, neither will gain an advantage. The final result will likely be mutual destruction." Although he was reluctant to admit that the Spirit Warrior had been forced into such a position by Mu Chen, the Western Battle Emperor was not someone lacking in character. He understood that with the Flame Emperor's insight, he naturally had a clearer perspective than himself. However, his eyes narrowed as he continued. But although Mu Chen's Supreme Dharmakaya is strong, he is at a disadvantage due to his relatively weaker base strength. After this battle, he will have exhausted most of his spiritual energy, while the Spirit Warrior still has other means at his disposal. So, while the Spirit Warrior may seem to have the upper hand, in the end, it will still be him who laughs last. After all, the Western Battle Emperor was a heavenly supreme, with extraordinary insight. While other powerful figures had yet to see the final outcome of the clash between Mu Chen and the Spirit Warrior, he had already glimpsed a step ahead. The Flame Emperor smiled and nodded in agreement. What the War Emperor says is true. However, defeating this kid, Mu Chen, may not be as easy as you think. Seeing the mysterious smile on the Flame Emperor's face, the Western Battle Emperor couldn't help but feel his own lips twitch. A sense of unease and doubt began to rise in his heart. Could it be that Mu Chen still had some tricks up his sleeve? Impossible. Under the countless tense, almost suffocating gazes, the spiritual energy storm that raged across the battlefield began to gradually dissipate, and the scene started to clear. As visibility improved, the first thing that caught the eye of the countless spectators was the Lin Hai, which had been utterly destroyed. The entire area, spanning 1,000 miles, was now flattened. Deep, jagged cracks, as terrifying as abysses, ran across the land, blindingly obvious. In the land that had been split in two, on the left stood the towering form of the War Emperor Dharmakaya, reaching a height of 10,000 feet, while on the right stood the Immortal Golden Body. Two supreme avatars faced each other from a distance. Boom. However, this confrontation lasted only for a moment before the two supreme avatars simultaneously lurched forward, kneeling on one knee, causing an earth-shaking rumble. The once brilliant glow on both supreme avatars rapidly dimmed at that moment, a sign of their spiritual energy being drained. On the White Jade Plaza, countless powerful figures stared at this scene, dumbfounded. Given the situation, the previously earth-shattering clash had resulted in mutual destruction. Far from Mu Chen and the Spirit Warrior, Ling Jianzi, Su Mu, Ling Longzi, and Chu Min hovered in the air, equally stunned. They too were gazing at the scene in the distance, clearly shocked by the unexpected outcome. None of them had expected Mu Chen to push the spirit warrior to such an extent that they would both end up in mutual destruction. This kid is truly monstrous. Ling Jianzi and Ling Lonzi muttered to themselves, their eyes filled with a trace of dread. After all, Mu Chen was still just a lower Earth Supreme at this moment. If he were an upper Earth Supreme now, even the spirit warrior would likely be no match for him. Amidst the gazes of shock, the spirit warrior's face darkened as he stared fiercely at Mu Chen from the shoulder of the War Emperor Dharmakaya, his eyes as sharp as knives. It wasn't just the others who were shocked, even he himself was shaken by the result. What kind of supreme dharmakaya is he cultivating? How could it be terrifying to such an extent? Spirit warrior's fists clenched tightly. It was clear to him that Mu Chen had been able to withstand him to this point, largely relying on that mysterious supreme dharmakaya. Spirit warrior's eyes darkened, but after a moment, he slowly restrained his emotions, his gaze growing sharp as he stared at Mu Chen and said in a low voice, I never expected that one day I, spirit warrior, would be forced into such a desperate situation. Mu Chen, I must admit, you truly are extraordinary. Sitting cross-legged on the shoulder of his immortal golden body, Mu Chen's face was slightly pale, clearly exhausted from the intense confrontation just now. He gave Spirit Warrior a faint smile and said, I must truly thank you for the compliment. Spirit Warrior's eyelids drooped, and an icy coldness surged in his eyes. Slowly, he spoke, but now, do you still have enough spiritual energy to sustain that supreme dharmakaya? Without the power of that supreme dharmakaya, can you still fight me? Your spiritual energy must be quite depleted as well, right? Mu Chen responded with a non-committal smile. Spirit Warrior nodded slightly, then raised his head to look at the three orbs of light in the War Emperor Dharmakaya's space. The next moment, a vicious glint flashed in his eyes. Or sacrifice. Spirit Warrior stamped his foot violently, biting his fingertip and drawing blood. A strange blood seal appeared in the air before him, and his deep voice followed immediately after. The moment his voice fell, within the three orbs of light, the million-strong army suddenly slapped their chests, and instantly, countless mouths of blood spurted out. The blood soared into the sky and began to burn, transforming into a vast surge of spiritual energy that howled as it shot through the space, all of it merging into Spirit Warrior's body. Boom. With the infusion of this essence blood spiritual energy, Spirit Warrior's previously sluggish spiritual energy surged violently, and within just a few breaths, it was restored to its peak condition. Upon witnessing this scene, countless powerful figures outside White Jade Plaza were horrified. No one had expected that Spirit Warrior would be so decisive and ruthless, directly resorting to such an extreme method to extract the final power of the million-strong army. While this would restore his spiritual energy, it would cause immense damage to the army, and it was likely that Spirit Warrior would have to train a new force after this. Clearly, in order to secure that one and only spot, Spirit Warrior had no qualms about such sacrifices. Amidst the countless astonished gazes, Spirit Warrior's eyes, tinged with redness and a cold ferocity, fixed on Mu Chen. A vast, overwhelming spiritual energy howled around him as his grim roar echoed through the heavens and earth. Mu Chen, this time, what gives you the right to fight me? You still don't have the qualifications to take the continental air position from my hands. So, get off this battlefield.